As the 19th century neared its end, the rich industrialized European nations began to see the world and themselves in a different way. This new vision of the world resulted in a change in the way Europe treated the rest of the world. A new era of European expansion and control began. Imperialism had arrived, and the world would never be the same. Cambodia and Morocco were two nations that became a victim of imperialization.
Long before the French Empire built Phnom Penh into a colonial city, Cambodia had an impressive urban past under the Khmer Empire. The empire benefited from a geography that favored both agriculture and trade. Water then could be used to grow wet rice in a sophisticated agricultural system, producing 2 to 3 crops a year and supporting a massive population.
Cambodia was a very flourishing country before French imperialized them. It is believed that historically, Angkorian era was the greatest and the most successful time period for all the Cambodians. Their king, Indravarman and Jayavarman II's nephew and successor, began the construction of a large-scale irrigation system in the Mekong River. He acknowledged that the soil is suitable for growing more rice and hence he provided people with a chance to grow more rice and bring in good family income. With this, many of the families in Cambodia during the Angkorian period grew rice and were wealthy and satisfied. This eventually grew the economy and led to the growing of more rice, which eventually led to the stability and an increase in population and power within the dynasty. When the capital was moved to Angkor, they also flourished in arts, especially in architecture and sculpture. But unfortunately, after the death of Jayavarman, Thailand ruled Cambodia. This made the economy very unstable. Then later, the capital was moved to Phnom Penh. This did not help though, as the government and the economy both became unstable. Hence, the people suffered a lot when Thailand took over them, and as they had lost their occupation and their very kind king. Moroccans led a very different life before France imperialized them. Their religion, Islam, played a major role in their lives since their ancestral time. They also valued their culture, traditions, and education, which was all based on Islam and its teachings. People during this time often spoke Arabic language as they were under the influence of Islam. People led a very happy, healthy, and self-satisfactory life independently. Despite having political and economic instability, Moroccans lived as a united country, forgetting their many problems. Although
So what excuses did France use to support their imperialistic actions? So France used two basic methods to support their imperialistic action, or to support their imperialism. The basic methods, which all the other methods derive from, was a social Darwinism, in which they claimed that they are not conquering the countries because the countries had rich natural resources or special locations, but to fix their current situations and conditions. As I mentioned before, that the countries had economic troubles and also weak leaderships. Besides that, also what they used, other method was natural selection, in which they said that only the strong survives, and the weak has no place in this world. So, since both of the countries are strong, it's one of their rights to conquer other parts of the world, or to expand their territories or empire. So these two basic methods play the most important role in justification for independence. That's how they explained it for people and history.
the major effect which France had on Cambodia as a whole was that the France proclaimed the Union of the Indochina, comprising of Cambodia and three other constituent regions of Vietnam. So this basically changed Cambodia in a way as they had their own independent government before, independent identity before, but now they're combined with some other countries and some other places as well. Also, Cambodians' occupation was changed for some people as many of the Cambodians were appointed in some governmental positions, but they were all not in the high positions, rather they were appointed in the lower positions. The higher positions were all owned by the French officials. Some of the Cambodian families were also allowed to practice agriculture, but all their crop yield for a year or so on was all supposed to be given to the French government so that the French government can run their own government and begin with the trading so that they can bring in more economy and money for the France. And hence this changed Cambodia in a way as Cambodia had its own identity, its own independence and their own way of thinking before, but now they were all under the control of French people and they were supposed to do what the French. Another country which was imperialized by France was Morocco. So if you try to compare Cambodia and Morocco, Moroccans were the ones who were treated very harshly by France. So the major effect which France had on Morocco was in the terms of religion. Moroccans, their religion, Islam, and their culture played a very major role in the Moroccans' life since the ancestral time. So when France acknowledged this, they took measures to change many of the Moroccans to Christians, and also they wanted to vanish all the cultural traits or all their cultural or the traditions and bring in the French traditions and they did this by changing their dress code into the French dress code and also by forcing many of the Moroccans to learn French language. This was a huge impact of the imperialism on Morocco. Another thing is that the people in Morocco were appointed as laborers in the factories and mines which were built by France. So they were appointed as laborers, but it is said that the Moroccans worked for nothing. So they worked very hard in harsh conditions and unsuitable and unhealthy conditions, but rather they were not given anything in return. The payment or even food supply was not enough or adequate to run their family. So this was the harsh treatment which was given to Moroccans. So basically, there was a huge impact on their religion by the French.
So France basically used the same imperializing methods for both countries. So one of the main similarity for imperializing both countries was that native languages were changed for both Morocco and Cambodia by the French language. Also, France used social Darwinism and natural selection to occupy both countries. About 1/4 of the whole population of both countries, nearly 1/4, was killed in just a few years by France, and because of their lack of concentration and all of that. Another effect of their lack of concentration towards Moroccans and Cambodians was droughts and starvations among Cambodians and Moroccans, and people. These were like the main reasons why Moroccans died as well, and it used these as a justification to imperialize the countries, which was Darwinism and socialism.
France's North African colonial empire was dealt a crippling blow during the year as revolt raged throughout Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. So severe were the uprisings, which cost the lives of thousands, that France was forced to restore the once exiled Sultan, Mohammed ben Youssef, who returned in triumph to his capital city of Rabat. The nationalist leader, who had spent 18 months on the island of Madagascar, returned to power, and his resumption of the throne proved a rallying point for Arab feeling throughout North Africa.
Now we'll turn to differences in imperialistic methods used by France. So one country, which was Cambodia, was located in Asia, while the other one is located in Africa, which is geographically closer to France. France trapped Cambodia by giving them hope of economic stability, whereas for Morocco they gave hope of a stable political government. So that's it for the differences. So there were obviously more similarities than differences because it was one nation imperializing both countries. So most probably they'd be using the same methods for any country they'd be imperializing. So. Yeah.